So the first approach to developing a sampling plan that we will talk about, the first sampling approach, is the simple random sampling. And true to its name, is the simplest way of just selecting a probabilistic sample from your sampling frame. Basically, what this entails is just getting a list of every single unit in your sampling frame and just coming up with a random mechanism to select the units that would end up in your sample. Now, every single unit would have the same probability of being selected. Meaning that, this is just similar to making so for instance, looking at the example of the water sanitation and hygiene survey that we talked about earlier. So say we have 10,000 houses in these communities. What we would do is to assign, for example, assign a number to each of the houses, and for all the 10 houses, use a random generator to select if the sample we're interested in is just 200 or 500 houses 500 households to talk about, 500 households to collect information from. We use a random generator to generate 500 households out of the list of 10,000 households. And we find which households correspond to those 500 numbers, and we administer our instruments to those 500 numbers. In that situation, every single household has an opportunity to be selected as part of those 500 households. And not just an opportunity to be selected, they have an equal opportunity, because all the 10,000 households have numbers assigned to them, and any of those numbers could have been equally selected by a random generator. So that is a simple random sampling. It's probably probably the easiest to implement and the easiest to analyze. Now, despite its simplicity, the simplicity when it comes to analyzing such, or when it comes to conceptualizing such a mechanism for sample selection and the analysis of such samples, when it comes to implementation, a simple random sampling can be a little bit difficult. Because, for instance, let's go back to our example of physicians and presidential candidates. Say we're interested in the attitudes of physicians of Nigerian origin in the United States to presidential candidates. If you get a list of all physicians of Nigerian origin in the United States, and then you do a simple random sampling, it means that you're going to find people who are in one end of the country, and there are also going to be people in your sample who are in the other end of the country. If this were a physical survey, the logistics of going all around and getting to each of the units that have been sampled can be onerous. And that is why, as conceptually straightforward as the simple random sampling is, and as easy as this analysis would have been compared to other approaches, we still need to think about other approaches to selecting our sample from our sampling frame, depending on the circumstances of the target population that is of interest. Okay.